Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a masterclass on traditional Punjabi Tariwala mutton and we're turning it into a completely foolproof guide. If you've ever wanted to recreate that incredibly rich, deeply flavorful, and perfectly spiced mutton gravy right in your own kitchen, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the techniques from our source material into clear, simple steps so you can master this absolute classic. So let's just address the elephant in the room and ask the ultimate question. The one that completely intimidates home cooks when they're craving that authentic, rich, and spicy gravy. What is the actual secret? Is it the cut of the meat? Some kind of magical spice blend? Well, as we'll see, the secret isn't just one magic ingredient. It's a very specific sequence of techniques. It's all about how you treat the ingredients at every single stage to build what's known as the perfect thurry, that irresistible, flavorful, oil-rich gravy that absolutely defines the dish. To demystify this legendary dish, we've broken the recipe down into 5 distinct phases. The complete mutton marinade, preparing the aromatic base, the art of roasting, secret flavor boosters, and finally, pressure cooking and finishing. Let's jump into phase 1, the complete mutton marinade. So for our 500 grams of curry-cut mutton, the prep actually begins long before the meat ever touches the heat. You're going to combine a whole lineup of dry spices: salt, coriander powder, Kashmiri red chili for that gorgeous color, turmeric, spicy red chili, meat masala, and cumin powder. You mix all of that directly with 4 tablespoons of yogurt and your raw meat right off the bat. Introducing them now ensures that when the mutton eventually goes into the pan to roast later, these spices roast right alongside it, building a deeply flavorful foundation. Now this 30-minute rest, it's absolutely non-negotiable. As the source material makes super clear, giving the meat half an hour in this yogurt and spice mix allows the flavors to really lock in. Roasting the mutton with these exact spices later is what creates that incredibly flavorful base for our tari. Seriously, do not rush this step. Let the marinade do its heavy lifting. Moving right along to phase 2, preparing the aromatic base. We're building our foundation with authentic mustard oil. You've got to heat it up until it is literally smoking hot to get rid of any raw edge before you begin cooking. Once it's ready, drop in this basic but completely essential mix of whole spices: black pepper, green cardamom, cumin, bay leaf, cinnamon, and dry red chilies. But here's the kicker: use extra black cardamom. That specific spice provides a deep, earthy aroma that is an absolute signature to this dish. Okay, this brings us to a crucial chef's rule. Add an entire uncut bulb of garlic right now. Don't chop it, don't mince it, just toss the whole bulb straight into the hot oil. This allows you to extract its maximum roasted flavor right into the oil base. And hey, don't worry about biting into whole raw garlic later on. The magic of this long cooking recipe means it will melt down beautifully by the end. Next up, add your 4 to 5 sliced onions. Now, wait a second. This is a massive departure from standard curry wisdom. Usually, we're told to fry onions until they're deeply golden brown, right? Not here. If you brown them, they stay rigid. By cooking them only until they are soft, loose, and translucent, you ensure they will literally melt into a thick, luxurious gravy later on. Which perfectly sets up phase 3, the art of roasting, or the bunai process. Once your onions are translucent, you toss in grated ginger, sliced green chilies, and that beautiful marinated mutton. This is where we hit the most critical concept of the entire dish: understanding punai. Punai is the slow, active roasting of the meat. Here's the fascinating science behind it. The yogurt and the mutton release water, which completely stops those translucent onions from frying further. Instead, as you slowly roast everything, the onions begin to break down and dissolve entirely. This step takes real patience. You're going to repeatedly cover the pot, let it cook for 4 to 5 minutes on medium heat, open it up, and give it a really good stir so the mutton doesn't stick to the bottom. Just keep repeating this. Slowly but surely, you'll magically transform those sliced onions and raw spices into a smooth, cohesive, and deeply fragrant base. Now, for the fun part. Phase 4, secret flavor boosters. To aggressively elevate this gravy from just a standard curry to an unforgettable masterclass dish, you have to follow this exact sequence. First, add grated tomatoes, along with the second half of your salt. Remember, we already used the first half back in the marinade. Adding salt exactly when the tomatoes hit the pan is a classic trick to aggressively draw out their moisture and speed up their breakdown. Cover and cook that for another few minutes. Once the tomatoes are integrated, stir in your garam masala and kasuri methi, which are dried fenugreek leaves. But here is the real game changer, a pro tip straight from the source. It's all about coriander stems. Not just those delicate leaves we usually use for a garnish, but the actual chop stems. Adding these right as the tomatoes are cooking injects an intensely fresh earthiness directly into the fats of the gravy, enhancing the curry in a way that leaves alone just cannot do. All right, the home stretch. Phase 5, pressure cooking and finishing. After the bunai is done, your spices are roasted, and those tomatoes and coriander stems have melted down, your meat is going to be coated in this incredible thick paste. But it isn't fully tender yet, so we bring in the pressure cooker. But before you seal it, you need to add water to create steam, and this choice is vital. You must use hot water. Never, ever use cold water. Pouring cold water into a carefully roasted base shocks the meat, drops the temperature instantly, and completely ruins that carefully built flavor profile. Always, always use hot water. Once your hot water is in, lock down that lid and stick to this exact mechanical formula. Crank the flame to high until you hear that very first whistle. Immediately, and I mean immediately, drop the flame to low and let it cook for another 3 to 4 whistles. Keep in mind, this might vary just a little bit depending on how fresh or high quality your meat is. Finally, and crucially, let the pressure cooker cool and depressurize completely on its own before you even think about opening it. When you finally get to open that lid, your mutton should be melt in your mouth tender. To give it the final polish, we add aromatic mace, also known as javitri, and just a little touch of nutmeg or jaifal. Grab your ladle and physically smash any remaining bits of that whole garlic or onion right against the wall of the pot so they completely dissolve into the sauce. Then add about 2 cups of hot water to reach your desired final gravy volume. Cover it up and do one final 10-minute simmer on very low heat. This gentle finish is exactly what draws all that vibrant, rich, oil-based color right up to the surface. And there you have it, a deeply authentic dish straight from the source material. Now that you understand the true science of bunai, the magic of translucent onions, and exactly why cold water is the absolute enemy of a good gravy, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other classic curries have you been cooking wrong all these years? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.